Breaking the wall of the fossil age. How Desertec can overcome energy resource limitations and global warming. Gerhard Knies, Desertec.
20 years ago, this was a big surprise for me.
Well, let's rock another wall. I like that music. Actually, the 9th of November I spent in Hamburg. I watched TV with my wife. We were expecting events going on in East Germany because we had a number of friends. And when we noticed or saw Mr. Schabowski and his message, we decided to go to Berlin early the next morning. And when we came, everywhere, crowd flooded with champagne bottles, all roads. And we decided to see our friends in East Berlin. And we celebrated and got drunk. And in the late night, at 24 o'clock, we should have gone back. Oh no, we are too lazy. Now we stay. This was, of course, in violation of the laws. So let's see what happened. Next morning, when we came to the checkpoint, the officer said, well, you have violated here the regulations. Well, then, what shall we do? Well, if you promise that you won't do it again, I'll let you go. How true he was. Okay, I received a book about 60 years ago with the title Energy of the Future. It was on nuclear energy and on fusion. And so maybe that implanted the question into me, and I never got rid of that question. And then about 6 or 7 years ago, when I retired, I took that question really serious. And that's why I'm here in this terrific lineup of speakers. Thank you for the organizers. Which walls have to fall for 10 billion people to live on Earth? And how Desertec can overcome energy resource limitations and global warming. These 10 billion people to live on Earth is maybe an academic question, but it is not so insane to look at it. It was addressed already by the Chancellor this morning that we are approaching this number, and it has been found out actually that a meteorite is on collision course with Earth, and it will hit at around 2050. This has been found out by the ecological astronomers, and here is the meteorite. And this may have similar effects as the meteorite, which will disturb the atmosphere and living conditions tremendously, because this 10 billion people will hit an Earth with a carrying capacity at that time for about 3 billion. Now we are below 5 billion, and it is being degraded by the use of fossil fuels mainly. And the point is, if you get rid of fossil fuels and get to clean energies, we not only would stop to degrade it, we even could upgrade the carrying capacity to about 10 billion people. But this requires some special actions. And so that's why I think the new security paradigm of this century is a transition, a change from national security to humankind survival. And I will tell you how I feel that we have a chance of coping with that problem. Well, everybody says, or many scientists say, 2 degrees is the most that we can tolerate as global warming. At each party, G1, G2, C8, G20, G100, whatever you have, this is celebrated. But I don't think those people don't know what they are really promising or aiming at. And it's the wissenschaftliche Beirat der Bundesregierung für globale Umweltveränderungen, WBGU, which has put it in numbers. That means how much carbon dioxide can we still put into the atmosphere if you want to keep that limit? And here's the answer. Worldwide, 750 gigatons. I think it's 1,000, I think. Anyway, what does this mean in terms of what we are doing now? This means that the world can continue with the present rate of carbon dioxide emissions 25 years, and then this budget is used up. And then the meteorite will come. Japan is only 11. You see the numbers here for the various countries, and some are good off, some are very bad off. So this requires a global cooperation to achieve that. And so we need a powerful strategy for global decarbonization. And I want to show you one. Well, let's talk about Desertec for the whole world. Desertec means deserts and technology for energy, water, and climate security. And to fulfill, and you see this little red square, this square receives from the sun as much energy as the world population is using every day. So there is enough space in deserts to begin with. And further, you see deserts go around the world. So these are two important parameters. Now, of course, to bring this energy to people requires something more. First, we have to bring it into a form which can be transported, and that is electricity, for instance. And this is the expected consumption 2050, that's 60 petawatt hours a year. Germany has half a petawatt hour right now per year, just to set the reference. And if half of this, again, would be produced by solar collectors, then we would need collectors for 12,000 gigawatt electric. And to do that, one would need this area, which is 1% of the useful deserts and 0.7% of all deserts. So the resources are there. Now, this electricity has to be brought to people. And this can be done by existing technology, by high voltage DC transmission power lines, a supergrid. And as you see here, this is 3,000 kilometers. Over 3,000 kilometers, you will have about 10% of loss. So you can cover almost all regions of the world. More than 90% of world population can receive clean power from deserts. And this is the way how the solar energy is put into useful energy. Solar radiation is collected, concentrated by parabolic mirrors, there are also some other technologies, onto these pipes. They are heated up, and with the heat generated there, steam is generated, and that steam simply drives a steam turbine, and you have a very conventional steam power plant at the end. Here you see one new one. The other one was 20 years old. This is a new one. And I show this to you because of one very important feature. You see these two big cans. That's canned heat, a former rock group. Now, canned heat is, you can fill these tanks with molten salt with heat collected with these collectors at daytime, and then you can generate solar power also at night. So you have solar power available at day and at night. So at this technology, the storage problem is solved. Such a system which has a solid and firm capacity for solar power generation has been studied by by the DLR, and just for the EUMENA region, Europe, Middle East and North Africa region. And all sources are included of wind, PV in the north, concentrated solar power in the south, and biomass and geothermal water. And this full system is then developed over the years until 2050 to always supply the full expected demand. And here is now the result. Oh, by the way, you don't see any borderlines anymore. So we are thinking of the world without borders, without national borders. This is very important. So here is the result. This is the resulting decarbonization. The top curve is the curve as if that would emerge from carbon dioxide emissions if they would go on with the present power plant profile. And so that would grow. But by this transition, we come down by 81%, and this is indeed compatible with the climate goal of the, less than 2 centigrades. So this can be done here, and it can be done all over in the world. And so the question, can the Desertec approach protect us? The answer is yes. And to say it with Radio Yerevan, in principle, yes. Because there are still a number of obstacles in the way, some walls, which have to fall. And walls to fall for ending the fossil age are the following. First, the overemphasized national sovereignty. And let me just give you a few comments on that. So national sovereignty, we know that the nationalization of global tasks leads to a disaster for mankind, for a mankind of 10 billion people. Proof? Look at the 15-year-long history of failures in setting up the desperately needed global climate protection framework at these climate conferences. Overemphasized national sovereignty keeps us on the rails to a global climate disaster, to runaway processes out of our control. Instead of organizing global transition to a mode of permanent stability, nations run to get the biggest chunk of the remaining resources. This is war against the generations to come. Overemphasized national sovereignty has to fall. I agree with the Chancellor, what she said this morning. Secondly, there's lots of ignorance around. The continuation of fossil age, it is expanding the use of fossil energies to power our civilization, is indeed preparing genocide. We know the world has only 25 years left for emissions as now, before climate change may get out of control. This says that those walls keeping us on the present path of large-scale destruction of our living basis, Earth, had better been torn down yesterday. Ladies and gentlemen, which ignorance is in the way? Well, some people say we have not enough alternatives for this fossil fuel supplies. Well, the Desertec potential I showed to you demonstrates that this is not correct. Clean power from deserts offers more than 100 times the capacity than needed for global energy demands. Deserts receive in 6 hours as much energy from sun as mankind is using in 1 year. The wall of ignorance about resources of renewable energies, notably of solar radiation in deserts, needs to be torn down. Thirdly, ignorance about technology. Some people believe or claim we don't have the technologies yet to make deserts to global powerhouses for 10 billion people. The Desertec concept, which has been studied, demonstrates that over 90% of the world population can be served with power from deserts day and night, summer and winter, with existing technology. Any conceivable amount of energy can be generated from desert sun and can be transmitted over several thousand kilometers. Almost all energy services can be provided by electricity and can thus be based on clean and inexhaustible power. The wall of ignorance about technologies like concentrating solar thermal power and long-distance transmission has to be torn down. Another wall. Ignorance about future in economy. Some people believe or claim that clean energies are not affordable yet. Ladies and gentlemen, is the destruction of global living conditions more affordable? Is handing over our children and grandchildren and so forth to a world wrecked by climate change disasters more affordable? The Desertec concept shows that clean power from deserts can be delivered at any desirable volume to anywhere where it is needed. So while expanding the use of fossil fuels will drive up their costs and accelerate their depletion, the transition to clean power will bring costs down, and it would cost about 20 to 50 billion euro to introduce this Desertec concept as a global solution. And these guys, here you see the founding picture from the Desertec Industrial Initiative. These are big companies who have begun to recognize that saving the world will become the largest business case in future. Thank you very much. Thank you.